So, for one of our New Year's resolutions of 2025, maybe as a society, can we do the thing where we don't justify and excuse murder or look for more context before deciding if it's inexcusable? If you haven't heard of the tragic murder of Jennifer Sheffield, that's what we're going to be talking about today. And not only that, the internet's interesting response to her life being taken by who would soon be her ex husband. Let's get into it. Welcome to my channel, Outspoken Samantha. I do appreciate you being here, whether this is the first time you have clicked on one of my videos or you are a returning supporter. Do me a couple favors, hit the thumbs up button, and also help me to reach my next goal of 25,000 subscribers and hit that subscribe button now, and turn on your notifications so that you never miss out on a conversation like the one we're about to have. Before we get into the topic of today, I want to give you a little bit of context for where my thought process is in this whole thing. Now, if you have been visiting my channel for a while now, you know that I occasionally will watch manosphere type content because I do find it kind of entertaining. There are lots of men on YouTube who have channels where they respond to the insane behavior of modern women who are failing at dating because their expectations of men are off the charts. Now, for the most part, I agree with a lot of the grievances that these guys have. Feminism has definitely, without a doubt, undeniably poisoned women and made them pretty much impossible to deal with, let alone find anything in common with. However, the more this manosphere content and the more extreme versions of it that I think would fall under the red pill category expand and grow on the internet, the more I'm seeing that men are not just trying to dispel the poisonous ideas of feminism and get women to wake up to their bad behavior, but now it just feels like the script has been completely flipped in the brains of these men who regularly consume this content and now seem to be completely immersed in masculism, that men are now never wrong, and that however they choose to respond to women, even if they're acting like a jerk, it's always justified because women are now the cause of every single problem. I promise that this thought process is relevant to the story that we are going to talk about. So, what happened with Jennifer Sheffield? She is a woman who recently posted a video on TikTok explaining how she and her husband were going to get a divorce, and that she was actually grateful that he had been willing to be so agreeable about the situation, and now she was just looking for advice on how to manage life as a single mom.
So, about to be a newly single mom, and I am in the middle of a divorce. My husband is being incredible though, like really and truly, like we're working together, everything's great, we're splitting everything down the middle, like, everything is good. It is a very civil divorce with our daughter in mind, and I really appreciate that. However, I'm going to be a mom, single income right now, and he will be helping with her. He will be supporting her, so essentially, like, I'm really thankful for that, and that I will not have to worry so much about supporting her. However, I will be on a very limited income, with buying a new house and, paying a mortgage and all that stuff. So, I've never done this before. I've never been on my own before. So if you have any tips, saving money and making money, anything like that, like, I would really appreciate it. Like, coffee at home, I take caffeine pills, I do my own hair, nails, everything. Like, I do all that. So yeah, if you just have any tips, like, I would really appreciate it, because, like, I'm a little scared right now.
Now, obviously, from what we could see in that video, it sounds like things were going okay. And I do have to say, as I've watched a lot of this content, her tone in that video was significantly different than a lot of women I have seen post these type of videos on TikTok. So I just want to point that out. But unfortunately, just a couple of weeks after she posted that video, things did end in tragedy. There's a Mississippi couple found dead of an apparent murder-suicide in their home a few days after Christmas were reportedly in the process of getting divorced. Jennifer Sheffield, 30, and Brandon Sheffield, 40, were found on the morning of December 28th while Jennifer's family was conducting a welfare check. Once they were inside, Brandon police officers said the family told them there were obvious signs of foul play. The case is now being investigated as a murder-suicide. Brandon Police Chief Joseph French told local outlet Dark Horse Press, said that when officers responded to the scene at 7:19 a.m., the deceased bodies of the couple were found inside. French stated that it appeared that Brandon Sheffield shot his wife before turning the gun on himself. Faye Lott, who was friends with Jennifer, shared with WLBT, a local NBC affiliate, that the couple had recently separated and were beginning the process of getting a divorce. A reason for their separation was not provided, but Lott told WLBT that she was shocked by Brandon's alleged actions. He's never been a violent person that I was aware of, she said. I was with her when they met, and I've always loved him for how he loved her. So it's definitely hard trying to understand something we will never be able to. She added that he was an amazing person. An obituary for Jennifer mentioned that the couple shared 2 children. Information on their whereabouts during the time of the apparent murder-suicide of their parents was not made available. Obviously, this is an absolutely tragic and horrifying situation, especially since we can look at her video and now, looking back, recognize how sinister the thought process of her husband truly was, even though on the surface he was giving her the idea that things were going to be okay. Now, the normal response to this would be, this is absolutely heartbreaking. No matter how challenging the situation is between partners, there's no excuse to ever carry out such a heinous act, and that there's no justification to take the life of your partner just because you're experiencing temporary heartbreak in life or how hopeless things might seem in the moment. However, as a society, as I've covered countless times on this channel by now, it seems like we have gone completely off the rails. And now there are people who not only genuinely believe that taking a life of an innocent person needs more context before deciding if it's a bad thing, but have no problem openly expressing that on the internet. Some of the responses to this video were pretty atrocious, and other people have said it sounds like red pill men are justifying the husband's actions because the system is rigged against men. And on top of that, people, of course, have brought politics into it because we're incapable of doing anything these days without making it political. Let's go through a couple of these comments. So one man said, "Why would any man get married in America? These women will literally smile and do TikToks as they ruin your life. They will try to take as much of your money and time as possible while they go F other guys." Now, obviously, in this situation, we don't have any evidence or proof to suggest that there was anything like that going on in this relationship. And either way, there is still no justification to take the life of your partner. Another guy says, "Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. Congrats to the woman." I don't think any extra commentary is needed on that one. This guy says, "Well, maybe you shouldn't go in the internet and tell people you're going to be a newly single mom after having a marriage with children. Many will say hell has no fury, like a woman scorned. Most will never mention what happens to the husband when he's scorned." I completely agree that people need to stop airing their dirty laundry on the internet. Women have got to stop doing this because, in my opinion, it is really not to gain support, but to gain monetization. And the more of a victim that they can paint themselves as, the more money that they will probably make because people are going to click on their content. But again, at the end of the day, this does not justify these actions whatsoever. And we can never, ever pretend that it does, because the more that we engage in that kind of ideology, that kind of belief system, the more we excuse people and give them the green light to carry out things like this. And just one more. This guy says, "More information was learned by the husband. I'd bet on it." To which I would say, it does not matter what he learned about his wife. The answer is divorce. The answer is to go your separate ways, as hard and as challenging as that is. And as I said, some people did have to make this political because apparently the husband was a Trump supporter. And therefore, since he owned pew pews, what else would someone who owns pew pews do with them besides use them against other human beings? Because that seems to be what liberals think of pew pew owners. This comment says, "There were signs he was a pew pew obsessed MAGA. My heart aches for her." I do have to say that equally as unhelpful of a narrative would be for women to take this situation and try to paint all men as being the kind of people that would harm their wives or soon to be ex-partners should the idea of divorce or separation come on the table. And again, that's just not helpful.
This is why we say it is all men. Not because every single man does this, but because if you can't trust your husband, the father of your child, even if when you're just wanting to leave him, to not end you, who can you trust? Why is it that men are like so inclined to turn to violence as soon as a woman decides she no longer wants to be with him.
I think that her questions probably warrant a much longer video all on its own and a much longer explanation, but at least she's acknowledging that there are differences between men and women because men do have a higher propensity for violence just because of their higher testosterone levels, the way that they view things differently, the way that they handle things differently. And of course, I'm not saying that that's okay. But the interesting thing is that we literally have really no other information about why they were getting a divorce, what the dynamics in the home were, etc. And we really can't take it at face value that everything was okay, that things were amicable, and that things were going as smoothly as she said. We never know what is going on behind the scenes, no matter what anyone puts on the internet. Jennifer and Brandon Sheffield's case, we do have so little information about their dynamic, and looking like the victim didn't seem to be the goal of her post. All she wanted was advice on how to manage her diminished finances effectively. I know a lot of people are going to shift the conversation to talk about how men get screwed over in divorces, especially when they have to pay child support and when women take half of their assets, supposedly. But that really isn't the case most of the time. Men do tend to have to pay child support, especially if the woman has a higher level of custody, but they really don't have to do as much to support their ex-spouse. And Jennifer seemed to know that. This idea that women get a divorce and then end up living this high life on his paycheck is false. More women tend to end up in poverty after divorce. They tend to stay single longer. On the flip side, a higher percentage of men go on to marry again. Overall, my concern again is how we respond to these things. It's been concerning to see how desensitized we become to crime and violence in general just because of how often it happens and how little it seems to affect us because we're so used to seeing it. But this is a whole new level of desensitization where we're now looking at these scenarios and thinking, well, was she a feminist or what were his politics? I need to know these things before I decide if what happened was good or bad. It's just very inhumane and soulless and very concerning. And I hope that we do turn ourselves around because the further we go down this path, the more terrifying we become as a society. But I would love to hear all of your thoughts on this in the comments below. Again, please be sure to hit the thumbs up button. It really helps me in the algorithm, help me to reach my goal of 25,000 subscribers, and hit that subscribe button now. Be sure to look through my other videos because if you enjoyed this one, chances are you're going to find something else that you enjoy the conversation on as well. If you would like to help support my channel in other ways, there is a buy me a coffee link in the pinned comment below. All of your generosity is truly appreciated. It does help me to grow and expand my content and deliver more commentary to you guys. Otherwise, keep it real, guys, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.